Hello, welcome back to Old Man Energy. If you have been with us for the last 3 months, you have gotten a masterclass in entrepreneurship from startup all the way through advanced marketing, sales, everything in between that I could think of to put in there. And this is not the episode I intended to bring you guys this Thursday. I have recorded an audio companion to my latest book, Beyond the Handshake, Mastering the Art of Power Networking. And that was going to be the episode, but it was not a bad podcast. You can still have it. All you have to do is send a comment, send me a link, or send me a message, and I will be happy to give you the link to it. But it wasn't podcast material. Plus, there was some other stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. So I am sitting here, obviously already ready for bed, and decided that I wanted to do it this way. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today. We were talking about the power of this medium in general and influencers and different ways that people affect other folks and just a whole myriad of topics. And he said a couple of interesting things that I want to share. Number one, he led with don't feed the pig. And that's where we get inside of our own head with negativity. And I know I've been really tired lately. I've got a lot of major changes going on personally, business-wise. We are growing and I'm demanding a lot out of myself for that. And somewhere along the way, I started 75 hard and my body is reacting rather violently to that one. My left leg is not happy with me. This morning when I was at the gym, I was tired, didn't want to be there. Discipline's been carrying me through for the last couple of days, and that's about it. Not complaining about it. That's just the way it is. You got to accept reality. I don't ever want to be one of those folks that get on here and says, oh, hey, everything's all sunshine and roses, and this is the way it is, because anybody that tells you that's lying to you. So made my video this morning that I post on Instagram and Facebook talking about the gym and whatever happens to be going through my head, and left. I had a good workout, but I was a little discouraged because some of the injury to my leg and all that good stuff was just frustrating. It's like, man, why am I doing this? What's going on? And before I got in the house, I got a message from another friend of mine that said, because of the video this morning, that his wife had decided to go ahead and complete her morning workout or her workout for the day. I don't know for sure which. So even in our discouragement, even in sharing our truth, there's a lot of energy out there and people are watching you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be on social media all the time. People are watching you in every aspect of your life. And I'm going to be spending some time over the next few weeks talking about manhood and specifically younger men in this generation and how challenging it is for that. But I don't want to talk about that too much right now. But remember, you're a leader. You're always a leader, and you just don't always know who you're leading, and especially in a social media environment. So it's absolutely critical that you hold yourself accountable to yourself and you put your truth out there. That's not always positive. It is not always happy. And sometimes it hurts. You got to own your failure just as much as you have to own your successes. Otherwise, you're not being truly authentic. And through this conversation, he said a couple of really profound things. And I'm not sure if he meant them to be profound or if he'd thought about them for a while or not. But he said, he said, I follow you. I'm a fan, but I'm not impressed by you. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not sure how to take that. And he goes, no, I enjoy your stuff. He said, but I know you on a personal level, and I know that everything that comes out of your mouth is true. And I know that everything that you're putting online is authentic, and I know the background behind a lot of the stories. And I like the way you put your thoughts together sometimes. So I'm a fan, but I'm not impressed to the point where I'm he didn't say fangirling, that's Dez's term, but he meant it fangirling over you. And that kind of made me feel good, but also took me back a little bit because I was like, well, okay, what does that mean? That means that people are actually listening and paying attention. And I kind of like the way that made me feel. It made me feel good, but it also reinforced the fact that I've been authentic. And over the course of the conversation, I shared some of the frustration with him that I've had with just engagement in general. Because remember, guys, this train is run by attention. That's what funds this. That's what drives all of this. So if you find some value in this podcast, share it with your friends. Like it, put it up on your page, give us a comment. All of those things matter. Make sure that you're subscribed so you're hearing the new episodes every time they come out. That stuff is important. And that lets us on the other end of this camera, because talking to a black circle is very weird when you're sitting there by yourself. It takes some getting used to. But that lets us know that you guys are engaging. And I have been blessed to get a lot of feedback on a local level from people that watch and engage with the podcast. And I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. It's nice to hear, hey, I got something out of this one. I like this episode. And even when people disagree with me, it's fun to have those discussions too. Make sure, please, that you're giving feedback to the guys and to the gals and to the influencers and the people that you like that are creating. I guess it's creators now, influencers, all kind of means the same thing. But that's what gets you to see more of what they're doing. But in talking to that and talking about that with him, we were going back and forth and talking about having an overall optimistic attitude, but not to the point where you don't see reality. And sometimes you just have a bad day. Sometimes days don't go the way they're supposed to. You get angry, your emotions get high, and you are frustrated. And that's where he came up and he said, you just don't feed the pig. Meaning that the pig is taking over inside of you. And this is the way he looks at it. And the more that you feed that pig, the more it takes over, the bigger it gets, the harder it is to control. And I thought about that, and the phone cut out soon after that part of the conversation. I was like, man, that really struck a nerve, because we've heard the old adage that there's two animals that live inside of us, and the one we feed is the one that takes over. But I've never heard it put so succinctly as you just don't feed the pig. You don't feed into the negativity, and whether it's somebody else online, whether it's a troll that's giving you negative feedback, whether it's somebody that's just seems bound and determined to try and create chaos for you, or whether it's your own mind, your own thoughts, frustration, man, this is just never going to happen. It's never going to happen for me. Why can't this do better? Whatever. But here's the thing. If you buy into those thoughts, then you're taking away your own dream, and at the cost of negative thoughts that will pass. Even physical pain, being tired, whatever, all of that will pass eventually, and you'll feel better about it at the end. But if it's somebody external, if it's a troll, if it's somebody even in your family that doesn't believe in you, if it's those folks, you're sacrificing your dream, and they don't care. They're not going to step up to the plate and help you make your goals happen and help you work towards your goals, because if they were that person, they wouldn't be tearing you down in the first place. And sometimes this can be disguised as love and caring. I know in the church, I got in trouble a lot when I was younger. Nothing terrible, just I was kind of opinionated, a little bit outspoken. So I would get pulled aside a lot, and I was like, listen, son, I need to tell you this in love. Like, man, what the heck? So I figure I knew I was in trouble, because I figured if the next thing you're going to do is love me, I'm going to know that. So that usually meant something bad. So if somebody tells you, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, or they're about to hurt your feelings, or I don't mean for this to sound terrible, this is about to sound terrible. Things like that. It kind of helps prepare you, but at the same time, they think they're doing you a favor, and they're not helping you at all. So make it a point to stay inside your own head. Don't feed those pigs. Allow entry into your brain. Don't give them mental real estate, because it will cost you your goals, and you need every ounce of mental real estate that you've got. This can also be applied to vices, and vices are easy to spot, and sometimes they're hard to spot. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It doesn't have to be drugs. It doesn't have to be smoking. Vices can be anything. Vices can be food. They can be sleeping. They can be lazy. They can be whatever. But again, don't feed that pig inside of you. You don't want to allow other things control over you. You are the architect of your own future. I think it was Thomas Lehman a few weeks ago that said that on here, that you're the architect of your own future, and you create the reality that you want to live in. Now, you also created the reality that you do live in now. And that brutal honesty is a conversation that you need to have with yourself, because it's also one nobody else is going to have, because nobody knows for sure what's going on inside your head. If there's some changes that you need to make personally, then you need to go ahead and make them. You need to quit feeding that pig. You need to start starving that thing to death. Will it create some chaos initially? Will it create some problems for you? I don't know. Maybe. Whenever you become the best version of yourself, you're not going to be the same version of yourself that was. Some people may not like this new person. You're going to lose some friends. You're going to create new relationships. You're going to have some issues. You may be uncomfortable being the person that you truly need to be, but you have to sit back and look at yourself and say, who do I need to become to be worthy of these goals that I've set for myself? And then start becoming that person. There will be no perfect time to start. There's always a perfect time to stop doing things that are holding you back. And the perfect time to stop doing things that are holding you back is as soon as you realize they're holding you back. It's kind of like when you're jogging or you're running or you're walking. As soon as the thought pops into your head, I'm going to make it to the next phone pole. I'm going to make it another mile, whatever. Well, you know what? It's time to go to the next phone pole. It's time to go to the next mile. Otherwise, you're letting yourself down. So controlling your thoughts is important. Don't feed that pig. Don't let all of this negativity, don't let everything that you've done and are continuing to do hold you back from what you really need to do and who you really need to be. Your family deserves the best version of you. You deserve to look in the mirror and see the best version of you looking back. And we can romanticize this and we can make this as pretty a picture as you want it to be. But ultimately, when you're standing there brushing your teeth in the morning, or you just got out of the shower and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, both physically and mentally, truly, truly looking deep into your soul, you really need to like the person that's looking back at you. And the thing is, and this is crazy, when you start changing, sometimes it looks worse at first, because mentally, when you start changing some things, you're going to suck at it and you're going to make some mistakes and you're going to do some stuff wrong and you're going to do some stuff that feels uncomfortable and that you don't like doing. And it's going to feel weird. And for a while, you're just going to feel like you're constantly behind the eight ball. You're constantly screwing up. But then you're going to get a little better and you're going to get a little better. And then one day you wake up and all of a sudden you realize where you've become that person that you had in your head picture. Same thing happens physically. The one terrible thing about physical transformation is you generally look worse before you look better, especially with weight loss. Most people that want a physical transformation are overweight in some capacity. So the thing is that whenever you start losing weight, you tend to go through a phase where you look a lot worse. Your stuff's sagging, you lose weight in weird ways. And I'm going to share some personal experiences on this. But when you look in the mirror, you're like, man, what the heck? This is awful. It's terrible. What am I doing? So you got to make sure you're paying attention to all factors, not just the scale. Look at how your clothes fit. Look at what you're doing. Every time I go to lose weight, I tend to hold weight in my belly, which is really easy to hide because I tend to work out harder. And when I work out harder, well, you can't see my belly as big as it is. When I take my shirt off, you can tell. Well, holding weight in your belly does mean you're fat all over, at least for me. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not telling you what you are, but you need to tell yourself the truth. So when I start losing weight, I start losing weight on the sides of my belly. I know you lose weight everywhere. So you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about perception. Talking about how we look at ourselves. So when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I see that I'm losing weight and I get these flat spots in the middle of my belly and it starts to look a bit like a deflated balloon. And then the sides cave in and it starts to sag and it looks really weird. It looks terrible. And then all of that will tighten up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. Okay, that's great. My clothes are fitting a little looser and I might have lost a few pounds. And then the cycle starts over again. And I know from experience that there's about 2 or 3 of those cycles before I get down to the size waist that I want to have, depending on where I was at. And I was pushing 260, 7, 5. I don't remember for sure this time. I was getting pretty big. So there'll be a few of those cycles that I'm going to have to work through this pattern. And my goal is not weight loss, but it just happens whenever you start eating clean, taking care of yourself, and exercising. And my exercises, everybody knows, if you follow me at all, that I love to lift weights and I enjoy that particular aspect of my life. But I also throw in a walk. 75 hard makes it easy because there's a lot of boxes to check in there. But also there's challenges that come along with checking boxes too, because if you do something for a certain amount of days and go right back to the same lifestyle that you were living before, did you learn anything or did you engage in that particular program, challenge, whatever you want to call it, and then stop? You didn't learn anything. Or if you did learn something, then you chose to go back and live the same lifestyle that you had before. The thing is none of us make that conscious decision. When we come to the end of these, when we come to the end of 75 hard, when we've run that marathon, we've done that, we relax a little bit, but we never have the conscious intention to be like, oh, I'm going to go back and be a fat slob again and do this and do that. We don't choose that, but it sneaks up on us. Oh, well, I'm a little tired today, so I'm not going to do that second workout. Oh, I'm only going to work out for 45 minutes instead of an hour and a half like I need to. Oh, it really won't hurt anything to have that extra piece of cake at 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday. I'm going to go out all weekend and just destroy my body. I'm not going to exercise. I'm not going to work out. I'm going to drink too much, whatever it is. And I'm not saying don't have fun and don't enjoy yourself on occasion, but moderate it, everything in moderation. You don't have to go out and destroy the planet because you want to have a break. But what happens is those decisions compound. And then 3, 6, 9 months down the road, you're struggling with weight loss again and feeling like crap and all the stuff that you worked so hard to get out of. But nobody consciously exercises. I'm going to use 75 hard as a reference because I've done it several times. Nobody consciously puts themselves through that with the intention of making yourself feel like crap again. When you've eaten clean and exercised regularly, and both mentally and physically, you feel good. You might be tired, but you feel good. You don't willingly choose to step back and go, oh, well, I'm just to go feel like shit again. It's not what we don't consciously do that. it happens. And the challenge is to not let it happen, to integrate these behaviors into a lifestyle and moderate everything else in between. And I'm one of excesses. When I go to the gym, I want to lift as heavy as possible. I like being very strong. When I go out, I want to have as much fun as possible. Whenever I'm talking to people, I want to meet as many people as possible. I want to help as many people as possible. I love the extreme nature of that as part of my personality, and it's part of it. I tried to temper in the past. That didn't work. All I did was make me miserable. But I've learned over the years to embrace that, but also to control that. Because it's the firecracker analogy. If you hold a firecracker in the palm of your hand and light it and it goes off, it's going to hurt, it's going to sting, but it's not really going to do much damage. It might burn you a little bit, but really it's not going to do much. Now, you light that firecracker and you hold your fist closed around it when it goes off, it's going to do some very serious damage to you. So that's a difference between the power, and that's a very emotional thing, but that's a difference. And you have a certain amount of power, and when you put it and you contain it and you control it, it is magnified 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Now, in that case, it's magnified in a negative way. It hurts your hand. But if you have your power and you find a way to contain it and control it and focus it, then you can have nothing stopping you. But you can't let these iniquities, if you're a religious person, that they talk about iniquities, you can't let these behaviors, you can't let these habits control you any more than you can let these trolls control you, any more than you can let outside people, family, friends. Don't let anybody dictate your dreams. I heard something else today. I believe it was Vanessa Van Edwards. She's the author of the book Cues, and I think she's written a couple of others. She said that you should apologize for being wrong. You should apologize for hurting people's feelings, but you should never apologize for setting your own boundaries. And I thought that statement was incredibly profound, because I'm a people pleaser by nature as well, and I struggle with my own boundaries. I don't struggle with other people's. I respect them and understand that, but it always felt weird to me to set my own boundaries. Like I had to have a reason for something. I had to have a reason to want this. I had to have a reason to say no. I had to have a reason to go after this goal. Needed a reason and needed a permission. Understand, when you set a boundary and you enforce that boundary, you don't owe anybody an apology. If they don't like it, that's their problem. It's not your problem. You hold fast to that. And that boundary could be, you know what? I can't go to all those different social events anymore because I'm building mine and my family's dream. I don't care what you think. I don't owe you an explanation as to why I'm not going to go. No, thank you for the invite. Appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not going. Sorry, I can't attend. However you want to say it, it doesn't matter. But you don't owe them an explanation as to why you can't go. Oh, well, come on, everybody's going to be having friends there. That's them not respecting your boundary, and you have a right to shut that down. It doesn't matter if you hurt their feelings because they're not respecting you. You can do that for yourself. You can do that for your self-talk. There's another episode of the podcast, What Do You Say When You Lie to Yourself? Go find that and listen to it. I delve into how to control your self-talk inside that episode. You don't have to listen to outside influences. You don't have to listen to inside influences. You become what you listen to and what you tell yourself. You also physically become what you eat, how much you exercise, and what you want to look at. You need to think about that. You need to visualize it. You need to stop feeding that pig that's running around running your life and start taking control of it back. Guys, thank you for all of the attention that you've given me over the years, and I look forward to a lot more. I'm excited about what I've got coming up over the next quarter for you guys and what I'm going to be able to share with you. Make sure that you are liked and subscribed here, that you're following me on social media. We are about to do some radically cool stuff, and some really big decisions are being made and some big changes are being implemented on our end. So you guys get to watch all that happen in real time. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure that you follow me on all social media, that if you liked and subscribed here to get every piece of information on the latest episode. Love y'all. Peace.